In a hidden room of a house near Buenos Aires, Argentinian police have found what's thought to be the biggest collection of Nazi artifacts in the country's history.
Declassified Nazi documents reveal the shocking truth about some of the most bizarre and terrifying weapons ever conceived during World War II. From mysterious WW2 UFO projects hidden deep in the Alps, to rocket-powered fighters, biological warfare labs, and city-destroying superguns, Nazi Germany pursued a range of experimental technologies that blurred the line between science fiction and battlefield strategy.
What was that? What the hell was that? It went by like we were standing still. Going by at 2 o'clock. What the hell is it?
Many of these so-called wonder weapons were kept secret for decades, fueling WW2 mystery and speculation around the world. In this video, we'll explore the dark depths of these creations, where desperation, ambition, and ruthless ideology gave birth to terrifying machines of war. 20. Nazi UFO. One of the most bizarre WW2 mysteries still fueling conspiracy theories today is the idea that the Nazis developed UFOs, circular, high-speed craft supposedly powered by exotic propulsion systems. Known as Honebu, Vril, and Kugelblitz, these alleged WW2 UFOs appear in scattered wartime sketches, strange blueprints, and now declassified Nazi documents. According to believers, German scientists experimented with anti-gravity and electromagnetic propulsion, possibly inspired by inventor Victor Schauberger's Repulsine engine. These secret projects reveal the shocking truth about what was said to be tested at hidden sites like Kummersdorf, or even Antarctica's remote New Swabia base. Supporters of this theory claim these Nazi UFOs were behind many post-war flying saucer sightings, and that either the US or Soviet Union quietly recovered them during Operation Paperclip. But despite the fascination, historians remain unconvinced. There's still no solid evidence that any of these flying discs ever flew. What survives is a tangled mix of truth and fiction, fueling the lasting mystery of WW2's strangest secret, and raising the question, just how close did the Nazis get to rewriting aviation history? 19. Sturmgewehr 44. Deployed late in World War II, the Sturmgewehr 44, often shortened to STG-44, was a game-changer, born from the brutal conditions of the Eastern Front. It wasn't just an upgrade, it was a revolution. Declassified Nazi documents confirmed this was the world's first true assault rifle, designed to solve a major battlefield problem. Most combat happened at mid-range, where slow bolt-action rifles and short-range submachine guns fell short. The STG-44 struck the perfect balance. Firing 7.92mm Kurz rounds from a 30-round magazine, it delivered controlled bursts with surprising accuracy and minimal recoil. German soldiers could now move fast and shoot faster, turning close-range chaos into dominance. Its creator, Hugo Schmeisser, unknowingly shaped the future. The Soviet AK-47 borrowed heavily from its design. So did the American M16. The STG-44 was a weapon for the modern battlefield. In the long shadow of World War II, this Nazi innovation remains one of the war's most influential legacies in small arms warfare. 18. Tiger tank. When Allied troops spotted a Tiger tank in the distance, the typical response wasn't to fight. It was to call for backup and hope it wasn't already too late. The Panzerkampfwagen 66 Tiger wasn't just another weapon of war, it was a fortress on tracks. Armed with the infamous 88mm KWK-36 cannon, originally designed to shoot down aircraft, it could destroy enemy tanks from over a kilometer away. Its 100mm thick frontal armor made most Allied shells bounce off harmlessly, turning standard engagements into suicide missions. Despite being heavy, slow, and constantly in need of repair, the Tiger's battlefield presence was overwhelming. It was so dominant that even seeing one could rattle entire platoons. Fewer than 1,400 were built, but it didn't matter. The Tiger's kill ratios were legendary, often 10 to 1 or more. It's one of the great World War II mysteries how something so flawed on paper became so feared in combat. Even today, the Tiger remains a symbol of terrifyingly effective World War II tech, a predator that hunted everything in its path. 17. Messerschmitt Me 262. In the final stretch of World War II, the skies over Europe saw something terrifyingly new. The Messerschmitt Me 262, the world's first operational jet fighter. With a top speed of over 540 miles per hour, it made Allied fighters look like relics. It could swoop in, unload its 430mm cannons and air-to-air rockets, then vanish before defenders even had time to react. Entire bomber formations disintegrated in seconds. This wasn't just another World War II aircraft. It was a quantum leap in World War II tech. Its twin junho 004 turbojets were groundbreaking, though prone to breakdowns after just 25 hours of flight. Pilots had to treat them delicately, but in combat, the Me 262 was a nightmare. Hitler's misguided obsession with turning it into a bomber stalled its fighter deployment, a WW2 mystery that arguably shifted the pace of air superiority. Fewer than 300 saw real combat, but their legacy was enormous. Post-war engineers on both sides of the Iron Curtain studied its design. The Me 262 didn't just appear in World War II, it foreshadowed the jet age, and it flew in with a swastika. 16. Type 7 and Type 21 U-boats. Beneath the Atlantic's surface, Germany's U-boats waged a hidden war that nearly strangled Allied supply lines. Leading the charge was the Type 7, the most feared World War II submarine. Agile, compact, and mass-produced, over 700 strong, it formed the backbone of Hitler's underwater fleet. These subs tore through merchant convoys with wolf-pack tactics, striking hard and vanishing into the depths. Their torpedoes sank thousands of ships, making the North Atlantic one of WW2's deadliest battlegrounds. But Nazi engineers weren't done. In the final years, they built the Type 21, a bold leap in World War II tech. Designed to operate fully submerged, the so-called electro-boot redefined what submarines could be. Fast underwater, capable of recharging through a snorkel, and reloading torpedoes in under 10 minutes. It was more than a machine. It was a glimpse of naval warfare decades ahead. Only two ever saw patrol, and neither fired a shot. But its design didn't vanish. Post-war Soviet, American, and British fleets borrowed heavily from it. The WW2 mystery wasn't why the Type 21 was built, it was how close it came to changing everything. 15. Fritz X. Long before GPS or laser guidance, Nazi engineers unleashed something that stunned the world, the Fritz X, the first operational precision-guided bomb. Dropped from a Dornier Du 217, this 3,000-pound armor-piercing monster was controlled by radio signals, allowing the bombardier to steer it mid-flight from as far as 12 miles away. In a war dominated by area bombing, the Fritz X introduced a level of accuracy that felt almost surgical, deadly, precise, and terrifying. Its most infamous kill came in September 1943. As Italy surrendered, German bombers targeted the fleeing battleship Roma. One Fritz X hit detonated her magazine, splitting the ship in two. The Italia was crippled shortly after. Allied warships, protected by thick armor and high-speed evasive maneuvers, suddenly had no defense against this silent stalker from above. Production stayed limited, and the slow-moving bombers launching them were vulnerable. Still, the Fritz X was a leap in World War II weapons technology. It didn't win the war, but it revealed a World War II mystery, how close the Nazis came to reinventing modern naval warfare. 14. V-2 rocket. The V-2 rocket was Nazi Germany's most terrifying leap in WW2 weapons tech, a long-range missile that gave no warning, no defense, just sudden death from the sky. Developed under Hitler's Vengeance campaign, it became the world's first guided ballistic missile, hitting speeds over 3,500 miles per hour and climbing 50 miles high before slamming into cities like London and Antwerp. Over 3,000 were launched in the war's final phase. No sirens, no escape, just impact. Designed by Werner von Braun, the V-2 killed thousands. But even deadlier was its production. More than 12,000 forced laborers died building it in hidden underground facilities like Mittelwerk. It was a glimpse into warfare's future, both in space and across continents. When the war ended, The race to capture its secrets exploded. Operation Paperclip smuggled von Braun into America. The Soviets looted the rest. The V-2 didn't just mark a new chapter in World War II technology. It was the origin point for Cold War missiles and even the space race. A World War II mystery that shaped the next 50 years, one explosion at a time. 13. Panther tank. When the Wehrmacht saw the Soviet T-34 tearing through their armor in 1941, they panicked, then responded with brutal efficiency. Enter the Panther, a refined predator that took the T-34's sloped armor design and perfected it. Built as the Panzerkampfwagen 5, it wasn't just tough, it was smart, agile, and lethal. Its 75mm KWK-42L/70 cannon punched through almost anything the Allies fielded, delivering kills at over 1,500 yards. The 85mm sloped glacis turned head-on assaults into suicide runs, while the powerful Maybach 512 engine gave it surprising mobility for a 44-ton beast. It became a nightmare on the Eastern Front, sniping from range, flanks hidden, and always waiting. But it wasn't flawless. Panthers broke down constantly at Kursk, the place of their rush debut. Mechanics became as essential as gunners. Still, when working, it was unmatched, a symbol of World War II weapons engineering at its peak. Sleek, clinical, and brutally effective, the Panther turned battlefield dominance into a science. A true World War II mystery machine, feared, studied, and imitated for decades to come. 12. Schnellboot. Known to the Allies as E-boats, the German Schnellboot were fast, stealthy predators on the water. The most advanced model, the S-100 class, measured nearly 115 feet, weighed 93 tons, and ripped through waves at over 43 knots. Built with a wooden hull over aluminum framing, they skimmed low and fast, making them nearly invisible to radar, perfect for night raids. These boats were compact but deadly, armed with two 533mm torpedo tubes, anti-aircraft guns, and mines. Their attacks were lightning strikes, speed in, torpedoes fired, decks raked with cannon fire, then vanish before anyone could react. Operating in the Channel, Mediterranean, and Black Sea, Schnellboot wreaked havoc on Allied shipping. Their sleek design and aggressive tactics made them some of the most feared vessels of World War II naval warfare. For Allied sailors, hearing a torpedo's wake meant one thing: E-boats were hunting, and survival was uncertain. 11. Würzburg radar. Introduced in 1940, the Würzburg radar was Nazi Germany's frontline ground-based tracking system for anti-aircraft defense. Developed by Telefunken, it operated in the low UHF band and used a 3-meter parabolic dish to precisely locate enemy aircraft. Early models like the mobile Würzburg A were manually operated, but by 1941, the Würzburg D added conical scanning for sharp accuracy. The larger Würzburg Riese sacrificed mobility for an even bigger dish and better resolution. With a range of nearly 18 miles and pinpoint accuracy within 25 meters, Würzburg radars guided flak batteries with deadly precision, especially during night raids. Over 4,000 units covered German-held territory, turning anti-aircraft fire from guesswork into coordinated radar-guided attacks. The British feared its impact so much that Operation Biting in 1942 captured a Würzburg unit, leading to radar jamming and chaff countermeasures. Until then, this radar tech gave the Luftwaffe a lethal edge, darkening Allied skies in the most advanced way possible. 10. Night fighters. Nazi Germany's Nachtjagd. Night fighters redefined aerial warfare under the cover of darkness. Aircraft such as the Junkers Ju-88, Heinkel He-219, and Messerschmitt Bf-110 were retrofitted with cutting-edge radar and fire control systems designed to hunt Allied bombers at night. Equipped with the advanced Liechtenstein radar, these fighters could detect targets well before visual range, giving them a deadly advantage. The Ju-88's Schräge music system, upward-firing cannons, allowed attacks from beneath, exploiting bombers' most vulnerable spots. This tactic turned Allied bombers into sitting ducks, trapped in a lethal no-man's land of darkness and radar-guided strikes. More than just machines, these night fighters waged psychological warfare, instilling constant fear among Allied crews. Each nighttime bombing run over Germany became a perilous gamble, with survival far from guaranteed. Though relatively few in number, this program showed the terrifying future of radar-equipped aerial combat, silent hunters stalking the skies when the world thought it was safe. 9. The V-1 bomb. The V-1 Buzz bomb was the world's first operational cruise missile, a jet-powered drone packed with explosives designed to fly blindly into cities and detonate on impact. Officially, the Fieseler Fe-103, it was Hitler's early vengeance weapon, unleashed to terrorize Britain after the Luftwaffe failed in the Battle of Britain. What made it chilling wasn't just its deadly payload, but its haunting signature, a ragged, pulsing engine scream cutting abruptly to silence. That silence meant the missile's engine had stopped, and seconds later it would plunge to the ground in a devastating explosion. Launched from sites in France and the Low Countries, over 9,000 V-1s targeted London alone. Civilians learned to dread both its roar and the sudden quiet that followed. British pilots bravely risked their lives tipping these flying bombs off course mid-air, while anti-aircraft guns shot down thousands more. Still, nearly 6,000 Londoners perished in V-1 attacks. Crude and made from sheet metal and wood, the V-1 wasn't just a weapon. It was a mechanical nightmare unleashed on a terrified city. 8. Me-163 Comet. The Messerschmitt Me-163 Comet was World War II's only operational rocket-powered fighter and the fastest aircraft of its time. Powered by the volatile mix of T-Stoff and C-Stoff fuels, it blasted through the skies at over 590 miles per hour, climbing faster than any Allied plane could track. Its Walter HWK 109-509 engine propelled it to bomber altitudes in under 3 minutes, making interception nearly impossible. With its unique tailless design and steep takeoff angle, the Comet was a blur in the sky. Too fast to outrun, too unpredictable to catch. But this speed came at a deadly cost. A razor-thin 6-minute fuel window and the extreme danger of its fuel, which could ignite on contact with air or metal. Pilots faced peril not just from the enemy, but from their own aircraft. Armed with twin 30mm Mark 108 cannons, the Comet could annihilate heavy bombers in a single pass. Yet, with only seconds to fire and limited ammo, kills were rare. For the Allies, it wasn't just a plane. It was a terrifying glimpse of rocket-powered warfare's future. 7. Nazi biological weapons. Nazi biological weapons research was a deadly experiment in turning disease into a weapon of war. Though officially banned by Hitler, secret programs pushed forward behind guarded walls, led by Dr. Kurt Blome, an expert who promised the Führer a biological miracle. Instead, he delivered a weaponized nightmare. Blome's labs tested plague, anthrax, cholera, and typhoid, weaponizing these diseases by studying their spread and lethality, often using concentration camp prisoners as human guinea pigs. At Dachau, Himmler's obsession went further, breeding malaria-infected mosquitoes intended as biological delivery systems against Allied forces. These weapons weren't just experiments. They were a terrifying form of warfare designed to spread death silently and efficiently. Though never fully deployed, their potential for mass destruction was real and chilling. After the war, Blome's knowledge was deemed too valuable to prosecute, showing how this invisible weapon threatened humanity beyond bombs and bullets. In Nazi hands, bacteria became a lethal force, warfare from the shadows that blurred the line between science and genocide. 6. Henschel H's 129. The Henschel H's 129 earned the grim nickname Flying Can Opener for good reason. It was Germany's specialized response to the overwhelming Soviet tank threat on the Eastern Front. A tough, low-flying ground attack aircraft designed to survive heavy fire and take out armored targets. The pilot sat in a cramped steel cockpit, sacrificing visibility for thick armor that shielded him from ground fire. Early models were hampered by underpowered Argus engines and poor handling, but the later H's 129B series, powered by stronger French Gnome Rhone radials, became a formidable tank killer. The B3 variant carried a massive 75mm cannon capable of piercing the armor of Soviet T-34s and heavier vehicles. Though slow and vulnerable to enemy fighters, its firepower made it a deadly threat from above. Deployed mainly on the Eastern Front, the HS-129 struck fear into Red Army tank crews. Production was limited due to engine shortages and maintenance challenges, preventing it from changing the course of battle. But wherever it flew, it left a brutal mark as a relentless hunter of tanks. 5. Goliath remote-controlled mine. Even though the Goliath looked like a toy tank, it was a deadly innovation. Developed by Nazi Germany, this small, unmanned demolition vehicle packed up to 220 pounds of explosives and was controlled remotely by joystick through a long control wire trailing behind it. Measuring just over a foot tall and 4 feet long, the Goliath crawled silently beneath enemy tanks, into bunkers, or under bridges before detonating on command. In the early 1940s, remote-controlled weapons were pure science fiction for most militaries. Germany turned that fiction into reality. The Goliath was a primitive ground drone, a first step toward modern robotic warfare. While its practical impact was limited, slow speed and vulnerability made it an easy prey. The psychological effect was significant. It required no pilot, didn't hesitate, and could be sent repeatedly without risk to human life. It wasn't just about destruction. It was the terror of soulless machines creeping unseen, threatening the very ground soldiers fought on. This was automation with a kill switch, a glimpse of warfare's mechanized future. 4. Arado R-234. The Arado R-234 Blitz was the world's first operational jet-powered bomber, a true leap into the future of aerial warfare. Originally designed as a reconnaissance plane in 1940 under the codename E-370, it quickly evolved into a bomber capable of outrunning almost every Allied fighter. Powered by two Junkers Junho 004 turbojets, it reached speeds up to 460 miles per hour, making it the fastest combat aircraft of World War II, even faster than the famed Me-262. Its sleek, slender design sacrificed internal bomb storage, forcing bomb loads to be carried externally. Limited by engine shortages and late production, only a few dozen R-234s ever flew combat missions. Despite its small numbers, the plane flew high-altitude reconnaissance over Normandy, struck targets with precision, and became the last Luftwaffe aircraft to fly over Britain. In March 1945, it played a key role in attacks on the Ludendorff Bridge at Remagen, hoping to slow the Allied advance. The R-234 was a glimpse of tomorrow's warfare, fast, elusive, and jet-powered, but it arrived too late to change the war's course. 3. Schwerer Gustav. The Schwerer Gustav was a weapon unlike any other, an 80-centimeter railway gun so massive it needed its own train to move. Weighing 1,350 tons, its barrel stretched 105 feet, capable of launching shells over 15,700 pounds, nearly 19 miles. Each projectile could penetrate 7 meters of reinforced concrete, demolishing bunkers and fortifications no conventional artillery could touch. Built by Krupp in the late 1930s, Gustav required a crew of 2,500 and dozens of rail cars just to transport and assemble. Its first major deployment came during the 1942 siege of Sevastopol, where it shattered Soviet defenses and blasted ammunition depots buried 98 feet underground. Despite its unmatched firepower, the gun was a logistical monster, slow to deploy, vulnerable, and limited to firing only 48 rounds before being abandoned. Schwerer Gustav symbolized Nazi Germany's drive for technological dominance, pushing engineering to extreme lengths. Though it never changed the war's outcome, it remains the largest artillery piece ever used in combat, a terrifying show of brute force on a monumental scale. 2. Nuclear Weapons Program. Nazi Germany's nuclear weapons effort, codenamed Uhrenverein, launched in 1939, months after nuclear fission was discovered. Driven by the ambition to create an atomic bomb, scientists like Werner Heisenberg worked on uranium enrichment and reactor design. Germany possessed the essential elements: uranium ore, heavy water from Norway, and top physicists to build a weapon of unimaginable power. But the program struggled under internal chaos. Fragmented across rival labs, lacking unified leadership, and suffering the loss of many Jewish scientists forced out or who fled, progress stalled. Resource shortages and shifting military priorities further stalled development. By 1942, the Wehrmacht deprioritized the project, convinced it wouldn't deliver a weapon in time. Despite these setbacks, Nazi nuclear research produced notable breakthroughs in reactor technology and isotope separation. The idea of a Nazi atomic bomb was a real threat, haunting Allied intelligence and fueling wartime fears. Though never fully realized, Uranverein is a proof that had the Nazis succeeded, the atomic bomb would have rewritten the rules of war, unleashing destruction on a scale the world had never seen before. 1. Zyklon B. Zyklon B began as a pesticide in the 1920s, designed for fumigating ships, warehouses, and clothing. Its deadly power came from hydrogen cyanide, combined with a stabilizing carrier like diatomaceous earth, packed into airtight tins. Once exposed to air, the pellets vaporized, releasing a colorless gas that blocked oxygen at the cellular level, causing rapid suffocation. This simple delivery made Zyklon B terrifyingly effective. It required no complex machinery, just sealed chambers and time. Repurposed by the Nazis in extermination camps like Auschwitz, it became the centerpiece of industrialized mass murder. The gas's portability and ease of use allowed systematic killing on a scale unseen before, turning technology into a tool of genocide. Companies like Dagesh and IG Farben produced Zyklon B, fully aware of its lethal potential. Zyklon B's legacy is a chilling example of science twisted into a weapon. A chemical originally meant to control pests was transformed into a method for the cold, efficient extermination of millions, proving how innovation can be perverted by ideology. That's all from us today. Do you know of any other Nazi wonder weapons that pushed the boundaries of technology and came close to changing the course of history? If you found this deep dive into dark innovation interesting, like the video, subscribe for more videos, and we'll see you next time.